Welcome to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. Mr. Barber is a preacher, a ventriloquist, a barefoot runner, and writes 2 blogs. When Jerrie communicates, he encourages people, try not to learn very much. Find a mustard seed. In the next few minutes, try not to learn very much. Look for something you can do to move a mountain, remove a stumbling block, or provide a stepping stone for yourself or someone else. And now, here's Jerrie with this week's mustard seed.
In this episode, we come to the last basic concept in family systems. If you haven't heard the first 4, you might like to go back to episode 3 and hear the first 4. Today, Principle 5 of Family Systems, Emotional Triangle, or how can I keep from getting caught in the middle? One frustrating situation in leadership is getting caught in the middle of a conflict. In my ministry, some people involved in a dispute have expected me to be the judge or at least straighten out the other person. Many elders, preachers, parents, and other human beings find themselves in this predicament. Edwin Friedman describes the dilemma. He says, an emotional triangle is formed by any 3 persons or issues. The basic law of emotional triangles is that when any 2 parts of a system become uncomfortable with one another, they will triangle in or focus upon a 3rd person or issue as a way of stabilizing their own relationship with one another. A person may be said to be triangled if he or she gets caught in the middle as the focus of such an unresolved issue. When individuals try to change the relationship of 2 others, 2 people, or a person and his or her symptom or belief, they triangle themselves into that relationship and often stabilize the very situation they're trying to change. He continues by listing and explaining the 7 laws of an emotional triangle. I'm only giving the list here. He expands on each of these in his books. Number 1, the relationship of any 2 members of an emotional triangle is kept in balance by the way a 3rd party relates to each of them or to their relationship. 2, if one is the 3rd party in an emotional triangle, it is generally not possible to bring change for more than a week to the relationship of the other 2 parts by trying to change their relationships directly. 3, attempts to change the relationship of the other 2 sides of an emotional triangle are not only generally ineffective, but also homeostatic forces often convert these efforts to their opposite intent. 4, to the extent a 3rd party to an emotional triangle tries unsuccessfully to change the relationship of the other 2, the more likely is that the 3rd party will wind up with the stress of the other 2. 5, the various triangles in an emotional system interlock so that efforts to bring change to any one of them is often resisted by homeostatic forces in the other or in the system itself. 6, one side of an emotional triangle tends to be more conflicted than the other. 7, we can only change a relationship to which we belong. This is from Mr. Friedman's book, Generation to Generation. Peter Steinke expands on this concept in his book, Healthy Congregations, a Systems Approach. He wrote, when elephants fight, a Swahili proverb states, it's the grass that gets crushed. Triangulation is a natural way of handling anxiety. If anxiety in one relationship is not resolved, it will be played out in another relationship. A person feels relief from tension when anxiety is shifted to a 3rd party, yet the anxiety in the original relationship is unchanged. It has merely relocated. He continues, you know a triangle exists when you experience the following. The reactivity being expressed toward you is excessive, strong, and far beyond what might be normal. Someone is over-focused on you. You look for a sympathetic third person who will share your irritation with an adversary. You turn to a second party to talk about a third party. You become allied with a friend against your friend's opponent. You need to rescue, care for your friend when he or she is anxious. You pin your anxiety on someone to relieve tension that belongs to another relationship. God has given us instructions and warnings about this in the Bible. Leviticus 19:16. You shall not go about as a talebearer among your people, nor shall you take a stand against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. Proverbs 26:20. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. Jesus taught straight talk on the part of everyone in a conflicted relationship. He said in Matthew 5:23 and 24, Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First, be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Matthew 18:15 to 17. Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you've gained your brother. But if he will not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established. And if he refuses to hear them, tell it to the church. But if he refuses even to hear the church, let him be to you like a heathen and tax collector. The following paragraphs are from the Full-Time Minister Relationships and Responsibilities document, a congregation where I served as an interim, incorporated to the preacher's contract and job description. Topic: conflict resolution. In any case of conflict at all times, it is expected that the minister practice guidelines Jesus gave in Matthew 18, verses 15 through 17. The minister will be expected to refer members that bring a complaint concerning one elder or the eldership in general to Matthew 18 and encourage them to bring the concern to the elder if it involves one, or to the eldership if it involves the entire eldership. By the same token, if an elder or the eldership has a complaint brought to them concerning the minister, the same action will be taken. The eldership will not entertain complaints unless the member practices biblical conflict resolution first. What if we added another paragraph in every minister's agreement and elder's agreement as a family rule at that church or any other church? It would go something like this. If a member has a complaint brought to them concerning any other Christian in this congregation, it is expected that the Christian practice the guidelines Jesus gave in Matthew 18, 15 through 17. No member will entertain complaints against another brother or sister unless the one making the criticism practices biblical conflict resolution first, including talking to the person alone, then talking again with one or two other people present to help restore the good, loving, and kind relationship. Following Jesus' teaching would eliminate the harmful triangle. The most common response I hear when I suggest this is, I'm not comfortable doing this. Consider what Jesus said in Luke 9:23. If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. A follower of Jesus volunteers to carry a cross daily. I think crucifixion would be more uncomfortable than talking to the right person at the right time in the right way to restore and maintain a relationship.
Thank you for listening to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. If you found a mustard seed, send a text or email with the link to a friend. This podcast was brought to you by Gail Barber's book, Fleecy Clouds, One Woman's Story of Surviving and Thriving After Childhood Abuse, by Gail Champion Barber and Alice Sullivan. Gail writes in the introduction to her book, I hope you find a blessing in this book that will add to your life and you can share with others. A difficult beginning didn't ruin the remainder of my life, and it doesn't need to ruin yours either. You can order your book from Amazon. There is a link in the show notes. Thank you for listening. Jerrie looks forward to next week as we continue to collect and plant mustard seeds.